Good morning, girls. Now, children, I have taken out some questions for you on chapter Force and Laws of Motion, and I'm going to discuss these questions today, and you will solve it. And some of the question answers you're going to write in your own words. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay. Starting with the first question, it says that a force of 5 Newton gives a mass m1 an acceleration of 8 meter per second square and a mass m2 an acceleration of 24 meter per second square. What acceleration would it give if both the masses are tied together? Now you have to find out over here m1. First you will understand the question that a force of 5 Newton is being applied on two objects. One has mass m1, one has mass m2. Okay. Now this is having an acceleration of 8, this is having 24. Now with the formula m is equal to f upon a, we can find m1 and similarly we can find m2. Okay, so you will get two answers here, m1 and m2. Now it is assumed that the same force is applied on the object when the masses are tied together. What acceleration would it give if both the masses are tied together? So we will assume that the force which is acting on the two together is same, that is 5 Newton. m1 plus m2 you will get an answer, and then you can apply the formula A is equal to F upon m1 plus m2. Okay, so this will give you the acceleration of the two objects which are tied together, assuming that the force of 5 Newton, same force is acting on it or on them. What is the relation between the force and acceleration? Now you all know that force is given by the formula m into A. Okay, force is given by the formula m into A. Now, what is the relation? Here the relation is force is directly depending on mass and force is directly depending on acceleration. Okay, so what is the relation between force and acceleration? We will write force is directly proportional to acceleration. Okay, if force increases, acceleration increases, or we can say that if force decreases, acceleration decreases, or we can also say that if is more, force required to move that object is more. So they are directly depending on each other. For how long should a force of 100 Newton act on a body of mass 20 kg so that it acquires a velocity of 100 meters per second? For how long time should a force of 100 Newton act on a body? Force of 100 Newton is acting on a body whose mass is 20 kg. Now the velocity which the object acquires is 100 meters per second. So the question is how long? To find t, we need the formula v minus u upon a, right? Now t we don't know, v, uh, yeah, v is equal to 100 meters per second because it is acquiring the velocity. U will be equal to 0, assuming that before the object or before the force is being applied, the object is at rest, and therefore we can use this formula and find out what? The time. And how will you find A? You will find A by the formula F upon M. Force is given, mass is given. Okay, so this is how you will solve question number 3. Now a carpet is beaten with a stick, dust comes out of it. When a carpet is beaten with a stick, if it is dusty, the dust will come out of it. Which law explains this phenomenon? Is it first law or second or third law? According to this question or statement, when a carpet is beaten with a stick, dust comes out of it. This can be explained by Newton's first law of motion, or we can say it is explained by the law of inertia. Okay, so you can explain that when a carpet is beaten with a stick, dust comes out of it because when we beat the carpet, it comes in motion, right? But the dust particles resist the change and therefore they fall down, or we can say that the dust particles come out of it. So, which law? First law, that is law of inertia. A plastic ball and a clay ball of equal masses traveling in the same direction with equal speeds strike against a wall. Okay, so suppose this is a wall. There are two balls, both are striking the wall. Okay, one is here. Both are striking the wall. They are traveling in the same direction. They are traveling with the equal speed and they are hitting the wall. One is plastic and one is clay. One ball is made of plastic and one is made up of clay. The question is which ball gives more momentum to the wall? So, according to you, which will be heavier? Both will not have the same mass because one will be heavier, one will be lighter, and speeds are same. So, according to me, clay ball will be heavier, it will have more mass, and therefore, because you know that momentum is given by mass into velocity, mass of the clay ball is more, therefore the momentum which is the amount of momentum which is given by the clay ball will be more as compared to the plastic ball. Okay, so I think you will be able to write this answer. Calculate the change in momentum. Calculate the change in momentum of a body weighing 5 kg when its velocity is decreasing from 20 to 0.20 meters per second. Now you know that the change in momentum is given by Pf minus Pi. First you will find the final momentum, initial momentum, and you subtract. How do we find the initial momentum? Mass into initial velocity. What is initial velocity? 20 meter per second. What is final velocity? 0.20 meter per second. And therefore that will be the change. When you subtract the two answers, that will be the change in the momentum. Okay. Now, next. Which force, balanced or unbalanced, can change the shape of the balloon, inflated balloon? If is it possible that both the forces can change the shape? Now, suppose there is an inflated balloon in your hand and you apply force from both the sides. Suppose you apply force from one side, just one side. So definitely when you apply force from one side, it can change the shape. Yes. And as you release the force, it will come back to its normal shape, right? Similarly, so we can say that unbalanced force can change the shape of the object or the balloon. Now, if you talk about balanced force, so suppose if I take this eraser, sorry, this is very dirty. Let me take this. This is not a balloon, this is a book. So I am going to explain you now. If you apply force from here, as well as if you apply force from here, in both from both the directions, right? So what do you see that definitely the shape of the balloon will change because you are applying equal forces from both the sides. So when you are applying equal forces from both the sides, the shape of the balloon will change, not can change, it will change. And as you release the force, what will happen? The balloon will come back into its same own shape. So we can say that balanced forces as well as unbalanced forces both can change the shape of the balloon. Okay, you can explain this with a diagram also. On what factor does inertia of a body depends? You know inertia? Inertia is a tendency of the object to remain in the state of rest or to remain in the state of motion. And on what factor it depends? It depends on mass. If an object has more mass, it has more inertia. If an object has less mass, it has less inertia. So we can say that mass is the measure of inertia, or we can say that inertia of a body depends on its mass. Okay. I can explain you this by suppose there is a big rock and there's a small pebble, a big rock and a pebble. Pebble is a small stone. If you because this has heavy, this has more mass, so it is heavy. So if you try to apply force on it, yeah, right, you have to apply a greater force on it to move it. As compared to this, you have to apply very less force. So we can say that the heavy object has more mass because so it has more inertia as compared to the lighter object. What is the third law of motion? Why does action and the reaction forces cancel? Why does not? Why does not the action and the reaction forces cancel each other, although they are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction? Now you know that. What is the third law of motion? Third law of motion is to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay? When I was explaining you third law, I told you that action and the reaction forces do not act on the same object, they act on different objects. So here the question is, because these forces, action and reaction, act on two different objects, therefore they cannot cancel each other, although they are equal in magnitude and they are opposite in direction. So this is the answer. This one, 10th one, write the formula of law of conservation of momentum. What is the law of conservation of momentum? That when two objects interact with each other, the total momentum before and after the interaction remains the same, and no external unbalanced force is acting on it. So we will write m1u1 plus m2u2 is equal to m1v1 plus m2v2. Okay, so children, you will complete these questions today. I have explained to you each and every question. Copy down each and every question in your notebook, revise the whole chapter, and start solving these questions, numericals, and write the answers. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. And you know that the portion for physics is chapter motion and force and laws of motion. Read your chapter thoroughly, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.